Great footage only gets you so far. That's why we're making this video all about post-production. It's the final part of a great aerial production, and we'll show you everything you need to know about post-production after the flight. Mike here from Videomaker. There are time codes below if you want to know what we're covering or want to jump to any place in the video. For a limited time, we're giving away our industry white paper on how to pass the FAA Part 107 test for drone pilots. If you ever plan on making money with your drone footage, by law you need to get certified, and our report will help you pass the test easily. Sign up at videomaker.com/drone or click on this card. The first thing you want to do is choose the best clips to start your cut. This is called pulling selects. You can do this in a variety of ways, but it all starts with organization. Organization is sometimes overlooked, but it's the most important practice in the video editing process. Keeping your files organized not only speeds up workflow, saving you time, but it also helps you keep track of all your best clips. Every editor has their own unique way of staying organized. However, all effective file management systems follow these core tenets. First, you should keep track of your project files in a single root folder. This is especially helpful if you're working on several projects at once. It keeps project files separate, preventing any footage mix-up or tedious sorting. Labeling your folders and files also makes finding files quicker and more efficient. However, if you decide to label your files, make sure to use that method consistently for all your files. One way you can label your files is by using the date and the name of your shot. For example, you could use 2022-7/17 for the date, park tracking shot. Next, inside the root folder, you should separate your files into their own folders. Clips you're going to use should be in their own folder separate from the footage you don't plan on using. Assets like graphics, sound effects, and music should be in their own folders as well. Using tags or adding metadata is another must. Lots of video editing software lets you tag your files using keywords. This helps you find your files inside the software's browser and saves you a load of time. Last, always back up your files in several places. While it's important to stay organized on your internal hard drive, it's best to keep copies of your file system on an external drive and in cloud storage. This ensures no matter what happens, you can locate your files at any time and have what you need to complete your project. To help you get started on your own file management system, let's demonstrate how we would set one up. In this example, we'll use Adobe Premiere Pro. However, this system should work for just about any mainstream editing software. In your editing software, bring your footage into your project and create a folder labeled Drone. Place all your drone footage inside that one folder. As you watch each clip, retitle the clip with a short description. Something like Landscape Pan 1 or Subject Tracking 2 will work. This will help you easily identify the clips you're editing, and it'll end up saving you loads of time in the long run. While pulling selects, you want to pick the best moments from your shoot. Leave the shaky clips or shots containing errors in your folder. Synchronizing audio is another helpful skill to know when you're editing your drone footage. Typically, syncing dedicated camera audio is super easy. It's barely even an inconvenience with your video editor's automatic sync feature. However, unlike dedicated cameras, your drone doesn't really have a microphone that's at all usable. If it did, all you'd hear is this. What you need to do is record audio externally on the day of your shoot. That means you'll need to have a wireless microphone that can record audio to a field recorder or directly to its pack. At the beginning of the shot, you want to create a sync point. Once your drone's launched, make sure the camera's recording and facing your subject. Then, while recording, have your subject clap their hands right in front of the microphone. Just one loud clap is enough. That's it. You've created your sync point. Next, inside your editing software of choice, bring your drone footage and the audio into your timeline on separate tracks. Your audio should have a waveform peak that's at the front of the clip. Find that point and line it up at the point of the footage where your clap point is. It's right at the point where your subject's hands meet. Once those two files are lined up, take a listen and see if the audio matches up with your subject's words. If it does, you've successfully synced your audio. If it doesn't, make whatever adjustments you need to make so everything matches up. One of the most overlooked parts of editing drone footage is color correcting and grading. However, they're both critical steps in post-production. Color correcting and color grading are sometimes thought to be the same thing. However, they are quite different. Color correcting is what you do before you color grade. As the name implies, color correcting is where you correct your footage's color. This may consist of adjusting the footage's exposure level, white balance, and saturation. Ultimately, the main goal of color correction is to get the footage looking the way it's supposed to look in real life. It's more of a technical phase than a creative one. You can start getting creative with your video's color when you enter the color grading phase. In color grading, you're constructing the visual aesthetic of your video. This is where you can stylize your video with color. If you're shooting a horror film, this is where you'd incorporate more dark tones into your image. Or if you're shooting an action film, you'd shift the color tone of the footage to classic orange and teal like Hollywood likes to use. When it comes to color correcting and color grading your drone footage, always start color correcting before you begin color grading. It's important that you ensure your footage is properly exposed before you start stylizing it. Additionally, be sure to color correct and color grade entire clips before you start slicing them up. This makes sure the process is much simpler and ensures every clip has the same color correction and grade. You can do so by adjusting the settings of your drone's app or controller. Setting these on the day of your shoot will put you in the best position when editing. You'll want to shoot in what's called a flat or neutral color profile. This gives you the most dynamic range in color, allowing you the most flexibility in adjusting the color in editing. Your goal in color correction is to normalize your footage as much as possible. If you shot your footage in a flat color profile, your footage is going to have a gray washed out look. You don't want to leave it like this, obviously. You want to add some color back into the image by adjusting saturation. This will increase or decrease the vibrance of the colors in your shot. But also you want to look at the brightness and contrast of the image. Make sure your dark colors are dark and your bright colors are bright, but not blown out. Don't forget to take a look at the skin tones of your subject to ensure they look natural and not too red or orange. Once you finish up your color correcting, it's on to color grading. Typically, color grades will adjust the footage's hue, saturation, levels, and contrast to convey a specific mood or emotion. Don't be afraid to experiment. If you're planning on sharing a video in a mobile-friendly vertical video format, you can do so by adjusting your sequence settings. If you've already edited your footage in a traditional 16:9 aspect ratio, duplicate this sequence. Then in your new sequence settings, change the aspect ratio from 16:9 to 9:16 by switching these values. Better yet, capture a 9:16 shot for use on social. This will save time in post by cutting out the need to create an area of interest like you would if shot in a different aspect ratio. When editing, you may notice there are some black bars on the top or bottom of your frame. To fix this, select your clip. Then, in your effects panel, adjust the scale and position of your clip until it fills the frame. Repeat this process with each clip until all the clips are aligned in the vertical frame. Now you're ready to share your video with the world. It's good practice to give your project one final watch all the way through to make sure it plays smoothly and doesn't need any further changes. From there, all that's left to do is export your video in the desired formats. Most editing programs have dedicated social media export presets optimized for a variety of platforms. If you made it this far, consider subscribing and liking this video, and don't forget to get our industry white paper on how to pass the FAA Part 107 test for drone pilots. In the next video, we'll cover what you need to know about drone flight before you take off. Thanks for watching.